Hi guys, Mick here, Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. So, I hope you're all excellent. I hope you're all having a great week wherever you are. I hope the weather conditions are good for you. Here in the UK, for my area at the moment, we've just had a cold weather and snow warning. So tomorrow we're looking between -1, -3 at times, and with a high possibility of snow. So might have a chance of getting out into a bit of snow, which would be nice. So we've covered shelters. We've done a lot with shelters so far on the video. So we're going to start getting into some of the other things. And watch to the end of this video because I do have a recommendation to make. Okay, yeah, have a look at the end. If you want to skip forward and miss me waffling, by all means do. So. We've covered shelter. Okay, let's get on to the next primary things. So the next primary things once you've got your shelter is going to be fire. Okay, now I've covered fire in a lot of my videos. I always like to show me lighting fire. The idea is people can take tips, ideas, hopefully build their confidence. So rules of building fire are quite simple. Okay, don't panic. It will go wrong. Go back to the beginning, reassess it, start again. Okay, don't flap. Okay, so for fire you've always got to think the same way. You've got to think spark, ignition, fuel, air, heat, so on. Okay, it's a gradual process, it's a build-up process, but it starts with a spark. Okay, now I'm always saying to you guys, primarily what you want to go with, do excuse me because I've got to pick it up and bring it with me. Primarily you want to go with it if it's survival training you're doing, or you're going bushcrafting, going camping, even if you're going to use your primitive skills, have a lighter with you. Okay, it can be a backup to your primitive skills. Okay, so if it goes wrong, you suddenly find you've broken your arm, you're trapped in the woods, you're going to be there for hours and hours, and it's cold, you can go to the lighter and use it one-handed, get a fire going, start protecting yourself. Okay, it's a choice thing to use. You can go to other methods. I quite often like to use things like my ferro rod. My ferro rod is my secondary method. Okay, it's efficient, it works well, it never fails to throw a spark. Okay, so I like a ferro rod as a backup. That's my primary, that's my emergency system. If I'm doing it for the fun, I'm practicing, I like to go with the ferro rod, and this old ferro rod has been with me for years. It was one that the wife got me off Amazon. Ember Point. It's a nice big ferro rod, and the reason I have such a big ferro rod, you don't need a big ferro rod. Okay, but the reason I have big ferro rods is primarily I do a lot of demos. Okay, so I go through, I've found over the years I go through them. Okay, it gets eaten. So a good ferro rod will always make a spark, even when wet. Okay, so the next thing you've got to think of is you throw that spark, okay, into an ignition source. Now that ignition source we've just covered on last week's videos with cotton pads covered in wax, cotton wool balls and so on. Okay, great ignition sources. Okay, great fire extenders. They're a great method for getting a spark to ignite a material, that material to burn for a length of time to then create fire. Okay, now those are using mostly man-made resources. That's what I've covered on that. The reason I've covered that is because they're ready. Okay, these are resources that a lot of people can find or have or prepare cheaply and easily, and that are effective. Okay, they're a ready source. I don't think I know of many homes in the UK or throughout the world that won't have a cotton wool ball somewhere. It's a great resource. If you're scavenging and surviving in an urban environment and you're having to find things, cotton wool, it's out there, it's everywhere. It's used in dressings, it's used in pads, it's used in tampons, it's used, you know, for makeup and so on. So you have a high chance of finding it, and you take the technology from that into other materials. You can have exactly the same effect using toilet papers, soft toilet papers, that fibres. You can pull those fibres apart and make something that's going to ignite. Okay, so again, you take that thought process forward. outside of that, there are many other materials you can use. Birch bark, okay? You can use the oil in birch bark to take a spark to a far extent. And I've shown that on some of my outdoors videos. Now, there are other materials such as fat wood, okay? For a lot of people, fat wood's going to be hard to find. If you're not in an environment where you have pine trees, okay, you're not going to find a lot of fat wood. Okay? If you're in an urban environment, fat wood's not going to be a ready source to find. Okay? So that's why I haven't done a lot with fat wood. However, I've watched quite a few videos just lately and I see people using fat wood a lot. And it is a great resource if you have the capability to source it. It can also be, looking at it when I did my research, a very expensive resource. Okay, you can buy cheap fat wood out there, which invariably isn't fat wood. Okay, it's quite often it is dry pine split into blocks and it's impregnated, i.e. it's been dipped into turpentine if they're trying to be realistic, or it can be dipped into paraffin, it can be dipped into oils, it can be dipped into almost anything, because that wood, when it's dry, is porous. You dip it in something like paraffin and it will soak it up. You leave it in there for 8 to 10 hours and it will soak up that resource, okay? And it will react very similar to fat wood. In actual fact, I'm saying to you, you could probably produce your own fat wood. You could probably take things like pallet timber, cut it down into strips, and by soaking it in turpentine and so forth, you've got something that you could simulate fat wood with. That's great, wonderful. But let's get back to the actual material itself, fat wood. Fat wood is, when a pine tree dies, primarily, then the best resource fat wood is from the root. When a pine tree dies, it stays standing and all the resin sinks back into the base. Okay. Now, one of the main ingredients in that resin is turpentine. Turpentine's been used as a paint cleaner, it's been used as a medicinal aid, it's been used as a firelighter for centuries. Okay. But it drops through gravity back into the roots and it collects there. The tree dies, falls down, rots away. That turpentine stays in the root and it preserves the root. Okay, you can dig the roots out and you can find the fat wood within that. You also get fat wood in the build-up, in knots. Okay, where you have branches. Okay, so you have a branch coming from a tree and the branch dies. Exactly the same thing, the sap will work its way back down under gravity to the knot. When it gets back towards the end of the branch and the knot, it gathers, okay, preserves the piece of wood there. It actually acts as a protectant. Okay, this is toxic to a lot of insects. So that dead piece of wood is now open to insects and bugs. As it rots away, num 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 num, they want that bit of wood. The tree allows that sap to come back, collects at the knot, and it forms a block. It forms something that A, bugs can't burrow through, B, is toxic to them, and protects the tree. Okay, so you can then take that knot out and use that knot for fat wood. Okay, now, in a lot of videos I've seen, like I say, I've seen people using quite a bit of fat wood. Okay, they're literally taking blocks of fat wood, paring it down into sticks and lighting fires, and yes, it will work. It's a brilliant, no-fail way of lighting a fire because it's full of turpentine. However, it's a resource. If you have a piece of fat wood, you want to use it fairly sparingly. Right? This is an expensive item to get quite often, and so if you use it like a lunatic, it's gone. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that in an essential survival situation I wouldn't split bits of wood off of my fat wood and use that to start a fire. I would, okay, but I'd also be thinking in the back of my mind, I've got to light a fire tomorrow, the day after, possibly the day after that, possibly the day after that. What other resources have I got to take that spark into the fat wood shavings, which will ignite readily, and we will demonstrate that in a little bit. What resources have I got to then extend that flame to build my fire? Okay, and again, sometimes you need to think outside the box, and I'll demonstrate again one of those methods when we do the bit of firelighting in a bit. So you need to start building your fire kit, and in building your fire kit you can go with a big bag like that. Okay, now so I do a lot of demonstrating, I do a lot of teaching, I do a lot with the channel. So in that's my kit I take out. If I'm going out for the day with the scouts and we're having a chat, in that kit Okay, I've got a flint and steel kit there, complete with char cloth. Got a simple bellows, cotton wool balls, Vaseline, windproof matches, lighters, chemical fire kits, flints, steels, okay, and invariably my big ferrocerium rod. So that allows me to teach, that allows me to have many methods that I can demonstrate, I can get people practicing and I can get them going, lighting a fire, learning the basic skills, okay. Now, what I suggest to anybody doing the bushcraft wild camping survival methods, or learning the methods, is to start building your kit. Take your time, take one technique, one method at a time, perfect it, use it, right, move on to the next method, perfect it, use it, build a kit. But you don't want to go out hiking carrying, that probably weighs about 3.5 to 4 pounds, so you don't really want to be lugging that everywhere with you, okay. You want to be lugging something lighter. So get yourself a little tin, okay. Doesn't matter what the tin is, doesn't even matter what size. And in there, some windproof matches, some wax pads, bit of flint, bit of steel, cotton wool balls, Vaseline, polypore fungus for extending my spark, carrying an ember, okay. Those are all things to put in your tin. So with that tin I can light a fire almost anywhere, and that tin is great, go into a pocket, go into a trouser pocket, keeps everything protected and safe, okay. I can put a ranger band around it, and again, one of the things I suggest you all do, right, get yourself a bicycle in a tube, cut it into 1/2-inch strips, use that to secure your tin, put 2 or 3 on there, because that's also going to become a fire extender, a great piece of kit you'd use, and again we'll be demonstrating that. So the difficulty in lighting your fire is taking the spark to something that's going to burn long enough to ignite the materials you're using, okay. So where do we go with that? Well, you can carry things like shavings, okay. So in there I have basically just silver birch strips and shavings. Last time I was doing some woodwork, I picked up all the shavings, put them in a little tub like that. So you can carry that in a tub, or you can carry it in a pouch, okay? That's going to help you. And it's about having that mindset, what have I got, what can I carry? You can carry just a knife, okay? That's my little knife. That has on that a small ferrocerium rod, okay? So the combination of knife and ferrocerium rod, great fire starting kit, simple, easy to carry, it's light, effective. I'm going to want a knife with me anyhow. Having the steel or the ferrocerium with me, bonus, okay. So that's the mindset you have. You build your kit, but more importantly, you've got to find gear you can trust, okay, and go from there. Now, I've been researching fat wood and that, although I can resource it, and I have resourced it in the past. I want to give you guys some sensible, interesting information, and I also want to give you a company to go and look at. Now, I'm not saying you have to use this company. They haven't sponsored me. They haven't sent me this gear for nothing. Okay, this gear I've bought myself. But I've done my research. I've gone out and I've looked at companies. I've looked at suppliers. I've looked at organisations. Okay, they're all pretty good. Okay, I've looked at some of the Chinese gear that's coming in. Okay, some of those ferro rods are fine. Some of their fat sticks, not so much. Okay, again, because they're being produced rather than a natural ingredient. You also have to think about where these materials are resourced from. Okay, so if it's damaging an environment to resource it, I don't really want anything to do with that company. If it's a company that's doing proper forestry operations, okay, and they're sourcing it that way, then that's the way I want to look at. Okay, if they're going and they're doing replant and they're doing forestry management, I'll use their materials. So you have to look for ethical companies, you have to look for sensible companies, and you have to look for companies that practice what they preach. So this company here that I've chosen to use and recommend, and I will be recommending it when I'm speaking to guys that are going to do expeditions and I'm helping to train them in the basic skills, or I'm doing a chat with the scouts and I'm recommending kit to them. This is the company I'm going to be recommending in the future. Okay, I'm going to be demonstrating their kit and recommending, not because they've asked me to, but because I think it's good kit, because I've tried it, because I've tested it, because I've given it a go, and I like what they've done. Okay, so this company's Forestry Fundamentals. Okay, or Forest Fundamentals. There we go. Have a look at them. Right, they do some great kit. I've bought the ARTISAN fire starter kit. Okay, so it comes in a lovely bag like that. Okay, recyclable materials, like that thought, but also, okay, a good fire extender. Okay, so that's, I like that little bit of thinking. It's not in a bit of plastic. So this company, what drew me to them? And again, you look through people's websites and you look through their companies and you do your research. Okay, and one of the things that came to hit me very quick with this company is their ethos, which is the more you know, the less you carry. Brilliant. Okay, so this company has been started by somebody that knows bushcraft, knows survival skills, knows practical abilities, wants to produce and supply kit to people that works and is practical in what we do. Okay, so I had to look through their kit, their gear, and like I say, I was looking for fat wood, looking for ferro rods, simple fire starting systems. Now, I picked up a trick from them, which I got myself a bit of leather, because again, this is simple thought processes. We never stop learning. A simple piece of leather is a brilliant bit of kit. I've never thought of it before, and you've all seen on my videos where I'm making shavings or I'm making filings, and you trying to get them piled up is a nightmare, especially when you're out and about. But you take a simple piece of leather with you, okay, you put your shavings onto it, so you put your shavings onto that piece of leather, then you can roll that piece of leather up, fold it into four, give it a tap, and everything is then piled up smack bang in the centre. Okay, you can light your fire on a piece of leather and then transfer it to wherever you want to make your fire. Okay, or you can transfer those scrapings now to where you want to make your fire, put your little pile on your fire and light your fire. Okay, thank you, Forest Fundamentals. I'll take that tip. It's simple and it works. Okay, so again, what did I get in the kit? Okay, so these kits, for what they are inexpensive. When I looked out and I looked at what it costs to buy, okay, let me get my notes so I've got the prices for you. So when I looked out at what it costs to buy a piece of fat wood, okay, smells lovely, smells pine, turpentine, a piece of fat wood, a good quality ferro rod, and a good striker. Okay, now quite often you'll get a striker with the ferrocerium rods and they're not always brilliant. Okay, but this has been well thought out. Okay, but when you look to buying these items separate, I'm quite often looking at a budget of upwards of 25 quid. Okay, which sort of threw me. Yes, there are cheaper end products you can buy, but again, I wanted to find something that I knew the quality would be good, and researching this company, I was very hopeful. So this is their largest ferro rod with this kit, which is a 12mm, and I went for a 12mm because I wanted quite a thick rod, because I do a lot of demonstrating. Okay, especially with the scouts, and then they want to have a go, and you've got 30 or 40 scouts want to have a go. Okay, you go through a ferro rod quite quickly. So again, wanted a thick ferro rod. They do three different sizes. They do an 8mm, a 10mm, and a 12mm, and the complete kit, okay, $16.95 for the biggest one, okay, and $12.95 for the smallest one. Right, so at the end of the day, that's brilliant. For $12.95, I've got a good piece of fat wood, I've got an excellent ferro rod, the striker, which is so well designed, it's ridiculous. I could spend 20 minutes just talking about that. But honestly, take it from me, guys, that's been well thought out. Okay, really well thought out. Another little bonus, it comes on a piece of paracord. It's just a bit of paracord, you say. Yes, but this piece of paracord is a piece of survival cord. So again, it's got a copper wire in it. Okay, it's got a piece of fire starter in it. It breaks down into the various strands. It has a fishing line in it. That's a brilliant idea, a piece of 550 paracord. That's a survival kit complete on its own. Now this comes standard looped, the idea being you can put it over your head. Personally, we all know I like a wally cord, so I've just knotted one end so it all sits down there. With it you also get a clip, and this clip's really well designed. It's a nice spring clip. Okay, so now this kit for me, okay, is one that I can just put into my pocket. Okay, if I'm moving about in the woods, it falls out, I know it's fallen out and I haven't lost it. It's where I want it. Another nice thing is if I'm shaving, okay, so I'm going to be preparing materials, just use some crutch shot. So I'm preparing the materials. One of the things I've got here as a bonus is I can lengthen the cordage out. Okay, so by lengthening the cordage out means that I can take the scraper, it's not confined, and I can prepare the fat wood scrapings. I can then swap to the ferro rod and ignite the scrapings. Okay, and when I'm done with that, the whole lot slides back down, goes in my pocket, clips on my belt loop. Okay, as easy as that. Or you can even clip it on a buttonhole, whatever you want. Okay, but again, it just makes it nice. I will probably add to that a small micro light or something like that, maybe even a compass, and it makes a nice little wally cord survival kit. Okay, so that's that. When you're preparing your fat wood, again, one of the tips I give you is, if you've got it, a piece of leather or a piece of material, or whatever you're going to be preparing it on, okay, you're going to take this and you're going to scrape your fat wood. You're going to scrape up a pile of shavings. There you go, scrape up a pile of shavings. Now using the leather, I can get it all into a nice little pile. Nice little pile like that, okay? And then getting it into a little pile is going to help me ignite my fire. Now, the ferro rod itself, and I know it's a bit distant, but tried to do this close up and it just didn't work. I couldn't get the right angle, the right light in the room, unfortunately. But the two ways of doing a ferro rod, me personally, and it is personal choice, okay, I like to tip the ferro rod just above what I'm going to light. And ignite my material. Okay, some people like to hold the steel and pull the rod. It's a personal choice. Now you see, I've got that little bit of fat wood burning. Now, in a survival situation, I'm going to panic and flap. But you're going to need to extend that. And thinking about it, you could use a piece of inner tube, one of your Ranger bands, a little piece of rubber. Now, that will burn quite a long time because of quite a healthy hot flame. Okay, as you can see, my scrapings are now burnt out, but I've got a piece of rubber burning, and that burns very, very slow, very, very hot. Okay, and it's very easy to light. Okay, that becomes a fire extender. If it was in an urban survival situation, I didn't have a piece of inner tube, I can take a shoe, Okay, so I can take a shoe or a boot. You see, I've done it there before. I can take a simple shaving from the shoe or boot. Okay, doesn't need to be a big piece, small piece like that. And again, I can then use that as a fire extinguisher, because that's rubber as well. That gives me my fire extinguisher, that gives me my ignition. Let's take that off me, a bit of leather, put that in there. That gives me my piece of ignition, my fire extinguisher. And as you can see, it's smoky. Okay, don't want to be breathing those fumes in too much. It does stink to high heaven. It can give you away if you're trying to be covert. However, it will work to create a fire for you, still burning away quite happily in there. Meanwhile, I could be putting materials on there. If I was in an urban environment, I could be breaking down wooden pallets, I could be breaking down wooden furniture, I could be breaking down whatever I need. But again, you've got to think, in an urban environment, a lot of those materials will have been treated. They've been treated with things like formaldehyde, varnishes, paints, okay? Make sure you're in an area where you can breathe. Make sure so you're not somewhere where you're going to be building up toxins that are going to take you out of the fight. Because let's face it, this is all about survival, okay? So, that is going to be my thought processes for fire. Starting fire, getting my fire going. This is what I carry. Build your kit. It can be as small as that, okay? A little tin like that, with some windproof matches in it, some strips of rubber. That's a simple kit, okay? That will do you in an emergency. Practice with it, have a go with it, okay? Find what you can afford. So, the Forest Fundamental Kit. What do I say about it? Right. So again, Forest Fundamentals. That's their company. Okay. In the pack, they also sent a card, and this card has instructions on it. Okay, it gives you a thorough brief in how to set this kit up, how to use this kit, how to make a fire. So if you're starting in bushcraft or you're starting your survival process, it's a great bit of kit. They've not just sent you some gear in a plastic bag. There you go, crack on. Right? No, they've got a thought process. They want you to enjoy this, they want you to practice with it, they want you to become proficient with it, they want you to have fun with it. So they take the time to send this very good quality piece of card. Now this piece of card I will be basically lacquering, okay, to keep it, because again, I can use this as a training aid. I can use it as a reminder for myself. I can put it into my training kit. So I'm sitting there talking about firelighting. Oh yeah, quick notes, quick brief. I've got the information there, okay? Because again, the more you learn, the less you carry. But I would carry that kit, okay? And if you're looking at building your fire starting kit, starting out, yeah, Forest Fundamentals, get over there, have a look, right? I recommend their kit quite simply because I've tried it. It works, it's honest, it's a decent company. It came within 24 hours and I'm absolutely over the moon with it, right? I've been playing with it, beasting it, yeah, I've given it some grief just to make sure it does work. I've even taken the striker and run it against other pieces of metal to see if it would deform, damage and fail. It hasn't, okay? This striker, used carefully, and I would say use this carefully, and it's not something I would go to, but in an emergency, that high carbon lip on there can be used just to take the burr off your knife and clean up the edge. Great. Okay? So again, thought process is outside the box. Anyhow, that's been a little one on fire today. Okay? Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully it works for you. And hopefully these methods and this company is one that's going to help you out in your bushcrafting, survival and prepping world. Okay? Okay guys, so that's been our video on fire today. So again, recommending a company, not because they sponsor me, not because they've given me anything, not because of anything other than the fact that I think they're a good company. I've had a look, looked them up, looked at the processes, done my research on them, bought their kit, tried their kit, beasted the hell out of it, and found it's good kit, it's honest kit. So yeah, I'm going to be recommending that to the scouts. Any of those guys that are looking for kits, yeah, go and have a look. Save your pocket money. Anybody that's going on expeditions, putting their kit together for their prepping, their wild camping and all the rest of it, again, get over to Forest Fundamentals, have a look at their gear, it's absolutely awesome. Guys, we hit 1,000 subscribers. The giveaway is going to be announced this Sunday night, 2000 hours, on this channel's live chat. Okay, drop in and have a look there. I'll be putting up a couple of shorts afterwards, again, just letting people know who's won it. And you'll know you've won it because I'll say it. If you get a phone call or a message saying, send us 20 quid and we'll send the prize out to you, slam the phone down, okay? That isn't me. Don't charge for it. Don't want anything for it. This is just a thank you to my subscribers. Okay, simple as that. 2 of you are going to get drawn and win yourselves a prize. Other than that, guys, stay safe. Get outside. Have your fun. Have your adventures. Okay. Enjoy yourselves. Please, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Please like. Please send me a comment. Tell me what you think of the kit. Okay. If you've used it yourself, let me know. Okay, if you've used any of this company's other gear, let me know. I'd be interested to hear about it, and I'll probably have a look at it myself. Guys, love those you do, forgive those you don't, and as always, peace and light be upon you all. Have an awesome week wherever you are. Look forward to seeing you on the next video. This is Mickey, Hampshire Outdoors and Survival, and the Hampshire Hog Hunters. Mickey out.